Okay, I cast the invisibility spell. Where am I? Oh, there I am. Ha ha! Hello, everybody!
Garson, we told you it was a concentration spell.
That's what explains why I couldn't pass the check. Hello, everybody! Welcome to episode 10 of the Forgotten Table Tales, the only D&D podcast that matters. I am your host, Garson Mavell, and with me is my co-DM and partner in crime for all things Nat 20 and Sneaky, Chitter Charmer.
Hello.
And our guest player today is none other than the fabulous druid of our campaign, the lovely Hydrangea, and the voice actress who we all respect and love, the one and only Neko Rose.
Hello, how is everyone doing today?
We're doing fantastic, both Neko and Chitter. Thank you so much for being here today as we tackle our first session 0 into a brand new book that I picked up on earlier this month, and that is Obojima, Tales from the Tall Grass. Okay, and actually we have a new player who's actually joined the campaign session right now. To give a special warm welcome to our fabulous Warforged Titan tactician, it's Mantis. Hello, Mantis. Mantis, did you get a copy of the book?
I did, but that's on my laptop right now, and I'd have to open that up.
Okay, well then pay attention to the stream. We'll be following along. So, folks, I gotta say, as many of you are aware, we started talking about kinks and cantrips, and we wrapped that book up last week, but I'm happy to pronounce that this time I'll actually be able to show you the entirety of the book without having to censor half the stuff by accident. But
I mean,
yeah, true. Now, I gotta start off by saying this. For those of you who are not aware, we'll go into it in more detail as we go through the book itself. But I wanted to just briefly talk about what this book is an inspiration about. This book is basically what if D&D met Studio Ghibli. If you don't know who that guy is, that's the company for. Okay, well, someone wants me to do that then. Anyway. Yeah.
Hey, we're not doing the kinky book. Anyways, take your shirt off.
Anyway, yeah.
See?
Sorry, folks. I'm breaking the immersion a little bit, but we'll be leaving that off for a while. Anyway, where do I begin? So, this book is D&D meets Studio Ghibli, which is the animation company of Hayao Miyazaki. And this book holds a special place in my heart because I actually went to school for both filmmaking and animation. And I absolutely love animation and just talking about those films. They are some of the best animated movies that we have seen. I'm talking, of course, about Nausicaa and the Valley of the Wind, Howl's Moving Castle, of course, Princess Mononoke, which was the first R-rated movie my parents ever took me to see. So that's another reason why I love this type of art style. And of course, my personal, one of my favorite movies ever, Grave of the Fireflies. Anyway.
Nice.
But
Grave of the Fireflies, I heard, is really sad. I never got to see it.
I'll tell you
So,
exactly what happens in that movie. It's basically...
No, don't. I still want to see it.
Okay, well, it's very depressing. I'll leave it at that. But we're not here to talk about depression or anything. We're here to talk about Obojima, Tales from the Tall Grass. And while I start by saying this book is definitely a must-buy for the art alone, we're going to just talk about the world itself today, talk about the classes, and just generally have a good conversation about it based on what we can show and display. And I'm very happy to talk about that. Now, I'm going to pass over to Chitter briefly. So Chitter can give you a brief rundown of the world itself, and then from there, we'll just be discussing it individually about certain themes. Chitter, would you go ahead?
Okay, so I've taken a look at this book, and honestly, this feels like... Okay, Garson, back me up when I say this.
I will only if I agree with it.
This feels like pre-industrialization Ravnica.
I'm going to need to hear some more details as to why that's the case, but I'm not opposed to agreeing to that. Give me some more explanation.
Okay, so this world is one full of like magic and spirits, as it says, where there are festivals for every occasion. And Obojima is a very, very calm and peaceful land, but it's only really centered around one place. Sure, there are cities and whatnot, but you're not going around continents and whatnot. It's a single island. It's a big fucking island, but it's a small island. It's all about the character interactions. It's a very role play heavy world, just like Ravnica. But the thing is that this place also embodies how Ravnica was when it was first introduced, because Ravnica itself in the D&D world was a lot more isolated before the Phyrexians, before the Omen Pass and whatnot. It was a lot more isolated. In fact, it was so isolated to the point where the spirit realm, like in Obojima, that's a very realistic thing to have that be the only other thing in the realm, because the Orzhov would do that. It's very, very it it it's hitting all those bells for me, because it's like, oh hey, this is a place where I can talk with these spirits, and there's nothing else there. And for Ravnica, especially in the early going, that's how it was. Ravnica was not connected to the Forgotten Realms. They weren't connected to Ixalan. They weren't connected to Theros. They were very much their own thing, and their own like spirit realm surrounding it. And even still, it's like one of the boxes on talking about the spirit realm is there are legendary places in the spirit realm: bustling markets, floating shrines, ghost ships, and megalithic temples. These locations can be anywhere on Obojima. Because they're invisible to anyone rooted in the physical realm, most Obojimans have no idea that these places exist, even though it may be right under their noses. That that is that this is screaming that this is before the Orzhov started taking advantage of spirits and whatnot, where these spirits just lived in a Ravnican environment, just just like they do here in Obojima. And it is so fascinating to me that this place is so soft and so nice. I have opinions on the future of this place for sure, but even the island itself, it's we're going to be explaining all of this, but I'm just going to give you the overview. There's this first age where a lot of big things were made, and now it's kind of a little bit in decay, and I have a problem with that. But not like a mechanical issue. I have an issue on how it's going to play out. But either way, it it's very fascinating, and this reminds me of either pre 10 Guild Ravnica or long into the future, where the Gruul have not taken over per se, because there's no need for that. It's kind of where the 10 guilds have served their purpose. It's kind of like a either the best way that I can describe it is like Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask in terms of the Zelda timeline, while Obojima is either Skyward Sword or Breath of the Wild, if that makes sense in terms of timeline.
And that's actually a good way to view it. Now I want to pass it over to our players real quick. Neko, you.
Yes.
I want to ask this abundantly, just to get your feel on it.
Mm-hmm.
You're more familiar with like Studio Ghibli, I'm assuming, than Magic the Gathering. You started playing Magic the Gathering a little while ago, and I know you are kind of familiar with the lore, but I'm thinking you're more. But I think you had more of a take from the anime side of things. Is that correct?
Yes, I grew up on anime first before I ever discovered magic. I actually had a lot my favorite movie is actually Spirited Away, which I had a lot of time to watch Studio Ghibli movies. I got to know Studio Ghibli through the Cartoon Network when they played it.
Oh, so good. Month
Um,
Miyazaki was amazing. I love that. I
oh,
love
it
that event.
was.
Yeah.
and
Hey,
and the fact that he's still like and especially how he draws women, like you never see him draw them sexual. He just draws them as people. Like they are not objects. They are beautiful. They are exquisite, plain, but still attractive. And even with kids, he draws kids as kids.
yeah,
So I have been in tune with Spirited Away, and just looking at this book on the surface right now, there is a lot of great inspirations. Like the little plant spirits are representing the little puffballs that are in My Neighbor Totoro, and also in Spirited Away in the boiler room.
Right. So my question to you then is, as a
Mhm.
fan of Studio Ghibli and a fan of Hayao Miyazaki's work, do you think that the world of Obojima feels like not only a good homage to Studio Ghibli, but it feels like there's a lot of adventure potential in a world like this because of how the book sets it up?
Yes, because of how it does capture a lot of Hayao Miyazaki's whimsy and his lore. It does capture a lot of great inspiration from him, but without copying what he goes for. Like it is his own world, but you can see the love and the care that this person put into it. Like this took years of research, looking through his movies. Like you could see references to Ponyo. You could see My Neighbor Totoro in here. You could see Spirited Away with the dragon from the street. You can see I haven't seen Pocoroso yet. I want to, but I no longer have Max anymore. Uh, I know Garson. It's all right. It's not on you. I'm pl- I
I'll
want to get a
find some way.
job.
I'll
I
find some way.
want
We
to.
can probably have a movie night and we can watch it because that's a good movie too.
Thank you. I do
can
want
I
to see the Fireflies, but I want to give him my money.
Mhm.
That's a person I actively want to give my money.
can I make a confession?
What's that?
Yeah, go ahead.
I have never seen a Ghibli movie.
What the fuck?
Neither have
Fix
I.
that. Fix. We need
Whoa,
to
oh,
fix that.
wait, hold on. Neither one of you have seen a Ghibli movie?
Not
What?
to my knowledge.
Oh my goodness. No, no,
Okay, well, this is going to be a
no.
fun conversation then, because me and Neko are huge Ghibli fans, and you two have never seen one, so we're going to have to. All right, this is going to be a fun
Well,
one. Uh, Neko, did you want to add anything more to your take on how Obojima's setting feels with like the Studio Ghibli inspiration?
So with the setting here, you can see that this is a mixture of both uh fantasy with hidden D&D, and also with Studio Ghibli s things here. Let's see here. With that, you can see that it could capture a nice whimsical adventure without too many horrible things happening. Like you can, especially with Studio Ghibli movies, like they still tackle hard hitting things, but without being like horrible and scarring the child. If
That's
you know what I mean by that.
That's true. That's true. Like Studio Ghibli films, they have a good. They usually have good messages, but they don't overly beat them over the head with it. It's more like it's a subtlety, and I do get that a little bit. Though the artwork in the book, like for example, the image I'm looking on right now, the road that turns into a dragon spine, that that could also be considered like something from like Dragon Ball Z. But this is, it just feels so interesting because it doesn't feel like it's a big deal in this world too. And actually, Mantis, your question, this is coming something I want to ask you real quick. Um, just on the front page of the book, on page 2, it says magic in the mundane. An Obojima story into the world of Obojima, where innocence, laughter, and simple joys are just as important as discovering magic, unwavering intrigue, and exploring the mysteries of the island. As a player, my question to you is, do you feel like the simple feeling of the like if you were playing a campaign in this and you got a mission to go from one side of the island to the other, but it doesn't have like a strict like overarching goal, it's like that's just your goal, but you are exploring this island, it's like mundane adventures, but not in a bad way. do you feel like as a player you would enjoy something like that? And if so, why? And if not, why?
Well, obviously, I'm all for one spice campaign. I'm all for it. So, in all honesty, I would, if our main objective is to get to the other side of this island, and that's it, then yeah, I would definitely for sure want to spice it up in any sort of way.
And that's
And
oh, go ahead.
and because if we're just going to the island, we have to fight the occasional monster and all of that. Then at that point, it's just like, okay, just roll the dice and oh look at that, I hit the thing. How much? Oh, like 2 points of damage. But if you add in all this stuff, then it's like, oh, I did not expect that. Also, Neffy's waiting in the waiting room.
Oh, okay, I'll bring her in. And then we'll invite our next member. Oh, there she is. Okay, there's
Yay,
Neffy.
Neffy!
All right, I'm bringing her in real quick. Move to. Okay. Neffy, hello.
Hello.
Hello, and finally our party is complete for this session. Neffy, we are talking about the world of Obojima. We're just talking about the themes of the book itself. Now, real quick before we ask your question, Neffy, have you seen any Studio Ghibli movies?
I've seen Princess Mononoke, Spirited Away, little clips of House Castle, and little clips of Ponyo.
Okay, so you've seen at least a couple. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what's that other one with the giant ass roly poly bugs?
I think that's either Totoro or maybe it's the I
No,
honestly
it's not Totoro. It's something else.
I'm trying to remember which one. I'm trying to anyway. It doesn't really matter. The point is that the themes of Obojima are basically can be summarized in just a couple of words. It's magic in the mundane. So it builds. So it's like, in my opinion, with that, it's building on an idea of there's grand adventures, but they are built on simple premises. So, like for example, Breath of the Wild, The Legend of Zelda. That's kind of how I imagine Obojima would play out. An Obojima campaign would play out. So my question to you is, and I asked Mantis this, how does that? Would that be appealing to you as a player? And if so, why? And if not, why?
Well, I don't know how to say this. I like the cozy vibe. Like I've ever since you're saying you're comparing it to Breath of the Wild, correct?
Yeah, I would say that Breath of the Wild would be the best comparison to how an Obojima campaign would be, where it's simple objectives but very massive exploration, and you don't know what's around
like
the next corner.
An open world kind of deal.
Yeah, kind of like, and so you're exploring because you're exploring the island, which because here's the thing, Obojima is an island, so like it has no landmass outside of it. There's just the ocean and the island itself. So I feel like you would be like, and there's weird things that happen on the island. So if you had a mission to go from one end to the other, that's a simple goal, but it's like a lot of options that could happen in between, and it'd be like kind of whimsical.
Huh. That's interesting. But yeah, I can see that being enjoyable for a player. In my opinion, I wouldn't say it's for I wouldn't say it's for everyone, but like if you're like really into that like kind of chill like open world gameplay, I would say that is the perfect fit for you.
Well, I think that's a good way to look at it. And speaking of the island itself, let's pull up the map real quick and take a quick look at the island, because I want to show everyone like just how massive this is amazingly. So here it is. So as I said, the island is pretty much just is one big landmass that you can see ventures from you have multiple wetlands, like a big grass field. There's a lot of different settings that you could potentially do here. But the one thing I really like about it is that each setting feels like you could have a different adventure, a different concept, even just a different outcome as you travel across this massive world, because that's what it feels like. It's a living world, and there's a lot of really cool locations in it. But on top of that, you run into stuff like, obviously, you run into spirits, you run into different factions, you run into like maybe
Right.
you go underwater and you can see a river of dead fish, which is really interesting. You could be walking and you see like a vending machine that's I still I don't really I'm just gonna leave this on this artwork for a bit because I think it's so funny. But like my point is that this world feels alive. Like the island doesn't feel like a setting. It feels like almost like a character in of itself. At least that's from my perspective.
Right. Like the island itself has different personalities.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that would be a really cool concept.
I do too. So, Chitter, I'm gonna pass it back over to you for a second. You said you had your own take on it. Why don't you give us a little bit of the backstory of the history of the world itself, and then explain where your theory comes from? Because I heard it, but I want you all to hear it beforehand so you can make your own judgment as a first-time listener of it. So, go ahead, Chitter.
Okay, so do you want me to explain my theory and then get into like the ages to back it up, or tell the ages first and then the theory?
Whatever works for you. Whatever thinks the best way to tell your theory on this.
Okay, I'm going to start with the theory then. Okay? Everyone here, and again, this is not this is not a failing on that I want to make clear. And this is not a failing of the book. In fact, it is a strength of the book. It is not a failure of the players. In fact, it is a strength of the players. There's nothing wrong with thinking that it is an absolute paradise. And there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, that's how the book presents itself. But as someone who I'm just going to come out and say it, so as someone who's very much into things like game theory and also like doing even my own character has hints into their own story that the party hasn't quite picked up on yet that are going to be fascinating, at least for me, to see if and when they figure that stuff out. This world is cracking. This world is on the edge of collapse. This world screams to me incoming dystopia with red sirens going off. And they're on the point where they can't do anything about it.
Okay, so I heard that theory and I can sort of see it because basically it is an isolated island. But how does okay, here's my question. Like so here's my question. Okay. You where is the theory like being come from? Because you say it's like a doomed island where it's going to turn into a dystopia real soon, but from the looks of it, it seems like everything is doing pretty well at the time of the book itself.
Oh, don't get me wrong. The best way that I can describe it is basically how do I say this without having to go into huge detail? In the world today, there are some countries that are going to be facing issues in the future that they aren't necessarily facing now. A great example of that is South Korea. And it's not because of what's to the north. No, it is issues within the country itself that have led to a culture where it isn't sustainable. And I think that we can all agree that places like America, Canada to some extent, there's a lot of places where you look at things and go, yeah, we're not going to be doing that in 20 to 50 years, or we're going to be done. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. I'm not going to get into individual issues because that's not the time and place for it, but
Mhm.
that's kind of where my mindset is. So, leading into that, going from that mindset, there's there's a lot of stuff including the first age, the age of the unknown. Little is known about the time before the Nakadama. Scholars speculate that there was once a people who created the wonders of the first age, but there is no understanding of how they came to be or where they've gone, which is like, okay, cool. So we're talking, so just keep that in mind that the people who created the wonders of the first stage, they're gone. They're not coming back. Then there is the arrival of the Nakudama. So they swam across the great ocean to land on the shores of Obojima and founded the kingdom. Then they founded the capital city of Lillywin, which once stretched across miles and miles of the Gale Fields. Some scholars and historians believe that the roads and trails commonly used in the Gale Fields today could have their origins rooted in the city of Lillywin, but it's gone. Then there is the demon usurper. The fall of the kingdom came at the hand of a powerful demon known as Ogmai. Two factions, and inevitable war, and yada yada yada. So then the monarchy dissolves, and it's done. And then there's the arrival of the humans, the elves, and then vanishing mountains, which would spur on a generation of sailors and explorers who ventured out and never returned. I'll get back to that in a moment.
Mhm.
And then there's the earthquake and tsunami that are shaking the island. All of these are little pieces. But what makes it so fascinating is in the technology section is on Obojima, the most advanced technology is also its oldest.
So, for those of you who don't know, the oldest technology that they have on there, it's not like we're talking like medieval technology. The farthest that the technology age is on Obojima is around the 1980s.
So the
Yeah.
Nokia.
Yeah, no. That's
Wait,
not, no,
wait.
that'd be the 2000s. When I say 1980s, I'm talking
Oh.
about like, we're talking about like
Oh, the whole
like cassette tapes. We're talking VHSs.
Oh, the brick phones.
No, we're not even at brick phones. We're at N60. We're at like NES level of technology. That's about as far.
Oh,
Yeah.
Lord.
So in a way, it also kind of reminds me like of Adventure Time.
Huh.
Yeah. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. Here's the reason why I'm very concerned about this world. The adoption of Relic first stage into the everyday life of Obojimans is one of those things that gives its setting its unique flavor, which is, that's great. It's a great flavor. I love that. I want to be very clear when I say this. I'm not saying that the world is bad. I love it personally. It's just that there are things in it that make me go, "Oh, this is going to be interesting for storytelling." But the reason why I'm saying that is first age technology conditions. You have to either power it by a spirit or use the jolt spell. However, it has three conditions. Working condition. The machine can be powered by a spirit or the jolt spell. You can get your soda if you go to a vending machine. Damaged. The machine won't work if wound by a spirit or targeted by the jolt spell, but could be fixed by making the appropriate skill checks. Okay, that's fine. Things get old. That happens. That's more than reasonable to expect that, right? That's more than reasonable. It's the last one that leads me down this path. Sundered. The machine is damaged beyond repair. It's time to scrap it for parts. That is a problem. That is a very big problem. It does not matter how durable something is. If it can break to the point of never returning, they can't make another one. They are relying on relics that are non-renewable.
Anyone else want to add anything to the technology of Obojima for like setting wise?
I don't know much of it.
Obojima, basically, you said aesthetic wise, right? Just making sure.
Yes. Wait, what did you just say?
Basically, you were just asking, anyone else have anything for War Lies?
No. I was asking like if anyone had anything for about like the. So the first age technology is like set in the 1980s, and it's no one's building any new things. It's basically they're just trying to keep things the same before it breaks off forever. So to give you an idea, even the book says this. First age technology describes the real world era of roughly the 1980s. We're talking analog tech, transitioning to digital. We're talking cassette players, NESs, chunky computers, action figures, VHSs, or VCRs, and some cars. There are some cars. There is no cell phones though.
That's fair.
So we're talking about
Like-
we're talking about Little Mermaid level of around
Yeah.
that time.
Yeah. Again, I just want to state this. I love this world, and and I would love playing in it. It's just as a DM, there are things in this world. It's not just this. This alone is like a yellowish alarm. Like my stories would lead more towards like, hey, this could potentially be a problem, or hey, what if someone managed to find a way to make even one first age technology again? That would be a huge change. That's kind of where my mind is right now, because again, I think in terms of those details. But there are other things combined with this that lead me down the path that this world, as amazing as it is doomed, and they can't get out of it.
I can actually see that. And the other thing I kind of like about it is just it's such a nice blend, because this does feel like something like Hayao Miyazaki would have in one of his movies. Because like Spirited Away is probably the best example of this. They have like a whole world basically of the spirit world in that movie, but it's also set in the modern era where after she leaves the oh my god, I forgot the name of the main character in Spirited Away. I remember how, I remember No Face, I remember the witch, but I don't remember the main character's name, and that was like the whole part of the movie is her remembering her name.
Well, congratulations. Now you need to watch it again.
Fair enough, but
So I lost the PDF for it.
all right, hang on, Neffy. I'll give his Chitter. Can you send Neffy a copy of it?
Absolutely not. How dare you ask me to do something nice?
You guys can't see it, but I'm rolling my eyes right now. Anyway, okay, so
Oh, come on. That was a good one. That was a good one.
Thank you.
okay, so
Oh.
Neko, I want your take on this.
Yes.
How would you feel about like this? So like we briefly went over the technology a little bit, but my question to you is the world itself, obviously being the only one of us who lived in the 1980s. How do you feel about your generation being represented by this technology?
I actually feel that it has like the planning of what the future had for us. And I like the fact that it has more of a sun eco-punk instead of like the metallic like Tokyo neopop cyberpunk stuff. Basically, it's more in tune with nature. That's my thing. And how that represents it feels like it's a bright future instead.
And that does, and I like that. I like that interpretation of it. So So we talk. So like briefly. So that's just the setting. I know we're talking primarily about the themes. Let's go over some of the world itself in a little bit more detail. And let's talk about the different factions, because the factions are actually really kind of unique. So first off, let's start with the AHA at the Academic Adventures. So
Aha.
pretty much,
Hey,
yeah.
what should we call our guild? Aha, I found something. Oh, aha, that works perfectly.
Wait, no, I meant I found something in the no.
No.
So
It's so good.
So obviously we obviously with themes we can talk about it in a very broad metaphysical sense, but what we really want to talk about is like what this world has to offer. The factions I were reading and I really liked it because a lot of them feel like really interesting, but also a few of them just feel like they're just clearly ripping off stuff from the real world. It's like, for example, the AHA are basically the, oh my god, I'm not going to be able to say that with a straight face. Come on, Garth.
Aha.
Oh my god, you three.
That's gonna be a running joke.
Sure, why not? Anyway, the AHA is basically historians. They're archaeologists. They're discoverers. They go to excavation and ruin sites. They find old technology. I think these guys would probably be the best people to have to repair the first stage technology if they can. I think they should be able to. That some stuff can be repaired, just not if it's like completely ruined. But what I like about this is that they draw on three traditions. They're based, and those traditions are based on the founders of the guild, according to how I read it. So, one is an archaeologist named Goriko. The other one, these are just the three founders of the guild itself. So you have Goriko, you have Lonini, and you have Uba. And Uba of the AHA is the chief archivist. And that has nothing to do with what we're talking about. I just wanted to say Uba and AHA in the same site and pretend I was a Gorilla Tag player for 5 minutes.
Shark bait. Ooh-ah-ha.
Oh my god, yeah, pretty much. Well, that's gonna be the Mariners Guild. Anyway, but they're basically just like they're the history majors of college. They go around, they explore stuff. But but that's actually kind of interesting because I like the idea of it's a group of historians who go digging in ancient ruins and they find a Nintendo entertainment system and they go, my god, what is this? I heard of it before. It was called a NES. It used to be an entertainment device for children. And they just slowly like caress it like they're trying to pick it up from like Indiana Jones. Oh my god.
Okay. To be fair, you needed to treat those things that carefully because I managed to get an old relic NES before, and the freaking thing was okay. Just a side thing, and Neko can confirm this. The top loader at NES, absolutely a reliable machine. The one where you slide the cartridge in broke all the fucking time. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong.
I gotta admit, I kind of like the concept of Indiana Jones breaking into an ancient temple, and instead of the golden monkey, it's just an NES with a controller and
It's
a copy of
GameCube.
yeah.
Orange
And
GameCube.
he's just like trying to grab. He's doing that thing where he's trying to grab it off the pedestal. He's touching the sand. He gets it, but then it's not well enough, so he has to outrun the boulder with the fucking NES under his arm. Da da da.
What? Why do I imagine that Neko would join that part of the guild and be like, oh, why did you join the archaeologist? Well, I did it to find history. I did it so that I can read all the books in the world. Neko, I did it so I can fucking finish my video game.
Yeah, I want to play video games so much, but also it would be to pet a lot of animals.
Actually, that's a different guild, but I do like the concept. Basically, that's the AHA. They're the Indiana Jones exploring, finding 80s technology. So anyone who ever watched Indiana Jones growing up. The next one is, in my opinion, this is the silliest one, actually, okay? Because I have a personal reason for it. It's the Courier Brigade. The Courier Brigade, also known as Knights of the Postal Service.
I'm sorry.
Deliverance
I'm-
through delivery. This is the code of the Courier Brigade, an order of postal knights devoted to the safe delivery of parcels all across Obojima. Know how dangerous the trip to remote the destination? Most of the time, courier deliver packages, but they also serve as escorts for travelers. Most couriers prefer large flightless birds as mounts, though this is not a requirement of the brigade's regulations. Most settlements have parcel boxes that fall under the jurisdiction of a courier, and the larger towns have brigade halls, for which squads of courier resides. The brigades also maintain a string of forts that protect the important crossroads, including the formidable Fort Hargalo in the Gale Fields. Here, Postmaster General Escalante, so Sai, oversees the brigade's operations and personally leads a small group of elite knights who are dispatched to relieve Imperial couriers. Okay,
Thank you, Kowalski, for the analysis.
I had to because I love this. Like, so for basically they're battle postmen. So like,
all I can think of, wasn't there a Kojima game, like that he released through his own
yes,
company?
it's Death Standing.
Yeah, Death Stranding, yeah. And all I can think of with the fucking large flightless birds is, "Hi, Neffy, there's your Final Fantasy."
I was about to say it's a chocobo.
Oh my Oh my god. Okay, so
Why do I imagine this brigade is like, yes, you shall all be designated your gray and red birds that are very nicely trimmed. Neffy, what the fuck are you doing? I'm the main character. I get this yellow one.
can I need to go on a brief tangent because there's a reason why I find this the funniest faction in the book. This doesn't have anything to do with D&D, but I just want to briefly say it. So, I love watching bad movies, and
I know,
but no, hold on. There's a reason for it. I'm going to keep this brief, but I got to explain this. There is a movie so in the 1990s, we had an actor called Kevin Costner who made a movie called Field of Dreams, and that was the only thing that he's really known for. Because everything he made after that was a piece of crap. We're talking Waterworld, we're talking, I think that's actually the only one I can think of, or Miracle on Ice was another one where he played like in that one game where the hockey team beat the Russians. But the movie that comes to mind the most when I read this was The Postman. If you have never heard of this movie, here's basically the plot of this. Kevin Costner is a slave after a nuclear apocalypse has devastated the land, and he manages to escape after his entire squad battalion of slaves were in a horribly botched raid were killed. So he manages to escape, and he finds an abandoned abandoned mail delivery truck with a postman's uniform in there. He then dons the postman's uniform and pretends that he is the new representative of the United States government so he can hide out in a small, remote mountain village where he pretends to be a postman. And throughout the movie, he's like, you have to understand something about the mail. The mail is sacred. It is an honor to deliver the mail. He builds this up, and eventually the town all become postmen. And for some unknown reason, they all agree to go wage war with the raiding slavers up in the mountains as an army of postmen. But wait, it gets weird because then Kevin Costner for the life of the movie is like, "Oh my god, I don't want to fight. I just need to escape and get away. Like I can't be a soldier. I'm not a fighter." And then for some reason, he goes to another village that's being governed by Tom Petty of Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. And it is him. He's playing it in the movie. It's Tom Petty. And he then gets on a zip line, goes to other fucking places that are connected by the zip line. And then he manages to raise an army of postmen that talk about the importance of delivering the mail. And he wages war against the slavers and wins. And then for some reason, after doing all of this, 20 years later, they get back to the civilization has developed enough to develop televisions again. So the reason why I'm laughing is because I read this, and it was like, they took that concept and played it tried to play it seriously with Kevin Costner. And this one, I'm just laughing because I imagine it's the same concept, but the Postmaster General has one of those old French twirly mustaches and speaks in a French accent, and it makes it 100 times better.
Here's the thing. The US also kind of has the same thing.
Yeah.
They have an official creed for their postal service.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it's neither sleet nor snow nor something about hail will prevent me from delivering the mail, except if a Doberman chases me down the street, I guess.
Doberman.
Yes, basically.
Do you want to know the scariest thing?
What?
They actually took inspiration from the couriers of the ancient Persian Empire.
Oh my god. Well, that's what this is.
Well,
These
that's
are
something I never knew.
So these guys are basically U.S. postmen with chocobos.
Yeah, and swords and know how to fight. This would be what I imagine Mantis would be in this world. He would be like a deliverer of the mail, but he's like, you don't understand. The mail is sacred. He's got like one eye patch. He's got like a scar running over his eyes. He's got like a big
battle axe.
Yeah, he's got a battle axe or like a big broadsword. He's wearing a frigid coat, and he's got a little mail cap on, and he looks like a badass, but he's just wearing the little mail cap. And I'm just like, Mance, what are you doing? I am a sacred knight of the postal service. This package from Amazon will be delivered. Come hell or high water.
I mean, look,
Yeah,
like, you're not
that
wrong.
would be me.
Nick was right. I may not be wrong, but I like that. I like because that's the silliness of it. And then we actually have some more silly stuff. So let's look at the next one because there's really not a whole lot more we could add about the Knights of the Postal Service. I cannot say that without laughing. Goddamn.
The postal service.
Okay. One more bit. I have to do this for the Knights of the Postal Service. Do you think that they take their oaths in like mail halls where they all draw their swords like Knights of the Round Table, and they're just given a letter from a sacred pouch, and it's like, I will, and then they do like the fucking Blackwatch thing from Game of Thrones where now my delivery route begins. I shall not carry parcels for anyone but my clients. I shall not open them.
Garson.
Yeah.
This is what they do, and this is also something that it relates to like taxi drivers and like pilots and whatnot. They get given a letter. They cannot open it. They only know that when given permission, they are allowed to open it, and no one says what the letter is because it's different for every single person. Slightly different, but no one quite knows. And when you are finally given permission, after thousands of packages, years of going through dangerous adventures, you open it up. Congratulations, you are now eligible for your postman pension.
It's just a potato.
Okay.
It's a single potato chip.
Okay.
This potato chip now proves that you are eligible for your pension. Please redeem it at the local AHA place for your pension in ancient relics. You will also have to deliver those as well.
Oh my god. So all right, we're gonna move on because those two factions just make me laugh. The AHA and the Knights of the Postal Service. All right, let's go on to the Mariners Guild. So the Mariners Guild is I'm gonna read the description real quick. 30 years ago, enthusiasts of the world beneath the waves formed the Mariners Guild to support submarine exploration. Under the leadership of its founder, Captain Clintock, the guild established 4 lodges, one at each of the island's cardinal directions. The lodges were both as home and workshop for the divers of the guild, each equipped with a small boatyard and launch, where members can test their latest seagoing vessels. Okay, already I can see this right now. This is the Ocean Gate fiasco waiting to happen. Like,
also, I do have something. I do have something funny to say
What's that?
about this. Um, this sentence is going to make absolutely no sense until I explain it. This is reminding me of King of the Fairies.
Anyone got anything to add to that? Because I don't have any clue what she's talking about.
Yeah, I have no idea what that is.
Okay. This is an actual historical person, by the way.
Wait, I know who you're talking about. You talking about that stupid lord from Britain who thought he was the king of the fairies?
Damn
Oh,
right
yeah, I know
I am.
exactly what you're talking about.
Oh my god. So yeah.
So here's the thing. There was this lord from England who was basically the definition of a nepo baby. He did nothing useful except berate his own brothers in parliament for his early part of his life. So his family was very eager to let him go. However, the first thing that he did was basically try to become an entrepreneur and made deep sea diving equipment, and then afterward met up with a lady who's like, yeah, I'm into the tarot and I'm into all this, and I actually know about the realm of the fairies, and you shall be king of the fairies.
Oh,
And the
oh my god.
and the thing is that she was totally scamming, like
Oh, yeah.
100%. He was being scammed. The thing is that he genuinely believed it, and also was smart enough to keep it out of his public life, so that at the time anyone found out about him being king of the fairies, he was long dead. They found it in his journal. Like, what the fuck are these ramblings? And
Oh, we're gonna
It's-
bury this. We ain't talking about. No, we're not talking about this shit. We're burying it in the yard.
the thing is, but the thing is that I expect, and I haven't read his stat block, but I expect Captain Glintock. I keep wanting to say Flintcock, but Captain Glintock. I expect him to be insane.
Oh yeah.
And there's a genuine reason for that, because pressure diving, especially in the 80s, even before then, but in the 80s, was incredibly dangerous. And they weren't fully knowledgeable on depressurization, where the nitrogen in your body basically can do really fucky things, up into including death from just rising. You're just walking on, you just had a great dive, you're walking on land, and suddenly you're dead.
So can I continue reading this, because this is actually going to play into that theory real quick, because the next sentence. So after an initial boom in popularity, the guild's membership had diminished over the decades. Of the 4 lodges, only the north and south ones remain in use, with Captain Clint. God damn it, now you got me saying it. Captain Clintock's 2 daughters, Holly and Plamona, operating out of them respectively. God damn it, Chitter! I was saying this so well and you fucked me up. The captain only rarely comes ashore, preferring to remain aboard the Poutine, his famous swordfish submersible. Okay, can I just say something I think is kind of funny, and this is just me speaking here? How the fuck did exploring the ocean, the only thing that's around you, die out in popularity over the decades? How did that happen?
I mean-
Were you that bad of a fucking guild that you were like, come see the wonders of the ocean, the fish, the majesty. Wait, where are you going? We found that Nintendo buried in a ruin. We're going to that now.
But well, the thing is that, to be fair, as I mentioned, with diving, you could just flat out die, and there would be no disease, no poison, no magic. You would just die.
Well, they're not diving. They're in submarines. They're building submarines and exploring in them. That's what they did. This guild was all about building submarines and going on adventures in submarines.
No, Garson. What I'm saying is it's not just diving like in person. It's the pressure from the water. It compresses the nitrogen in your body, and unless even people who work in like oil rigs and whatnot, who literally live at the bottom of the ocean, they have to go through a depressurization system that can take months, and they're not going in the water, but it's because of that pressure. They have to slowly depressurize their body Otherwise, they will die. It's not just a matter of like, oh, you might get a little sick, you might feel a little lightheaded. No, your body just basically becomes one big cheese puff from the inside and you die.
Ugh.
So, anyone else have anything to say about the Mariners Guild and exploring and how submarining fell out of favor after about 10 years?
I feel like I would play this guild.
Also,
See?
there is one other thing that's coming up again, and again, this is why my alarm is going off. Of late, Captain Glintock, his daughters, and the remaining members of the Mariners Guilds have all been working diligently to figure out how to fight back against the corruption that has emerged on the eastern side of the island. Most of the recent studies are regarding the corruption's effects on the marine flora and fauna. In an expedition to the corrupted coastline, the captain's sub was damaged. His efforts to get his daughter Holly, a gifted engineer who could repair the Point 2, has been thwarted by the Lionfish King. Who the fuck is that? Well, you're gonna find the fuck out.
Yeah, no, there's actually art. Yeah, the Lionfish King is actually a character in this book. We can show him later. But I gotta admit, the Mariners. I don't get why they would fall out of popularity if you're literally an island and you have. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Maybe because I play Subnautica a lot and I like it. But maybe I could see. I could see that.
Also, to be fair, the other thing is that with the world of Obojima,
Mhm.
when people go to sea, this is a thing that's mentioned multiple times in the book. If people go out to sea too far, they never return.
Hmm.
So not only do you have people dropping dead, you have people never returning, you have this corruption thing that is now basically a page earlier it was set off by an earthquake and a tidal wave. Yeah, of course people aren't going to want to go in the fucking water.
Get in the water.
Are you kidding me? That
No.
yeah,
No
are
way.
you kidding me? That shit's dangerous. It is actively like imagine going to a place that you get told, yeah, this is our diving, and the water's trying to actively kill us, but go ahead. Like, no, not going to walk into my watery grave willingly. I'm not going to go into a place where it's like, hey, this thing is this entity, this ocean is openly trying to kill me. I'm not going to be like, yeah, I'm just gonna walk right in, do.
Well, you know what? If that doesn't seem like a faction you would want to be a part of, let's talk about it. The next one, the Youth Scouts.
The Boy Scouts, yeah.
Oh no.
Right.
These are the Druid Scouts.
I'll be right back. I
Oh.
gotta go to the restroom.
Okay, no problem. We were just about to get to we were just about to talk about the Druid Scouts. The woodland. Okay, so the Youth Scouts.
Wait a minute! Don't talk about the druids without me. Hold on.
Okay, we'll come back to the site of the Youthful Stewards, otherwise known as the Druid Scouts, and go to the sword
Otherwise,
schools room.
Otherwise known as the Neko might kill you if we do this.
Yes, don't worry. We'll come back to that one because I think this is kind of funny. Anyway, the sword school. So this is basically Obojima boasts a proud tradition of swordplay. Not a shocker there. Or several actually. Each sword tradition has 2 masters of equal rank who oversee a school and take on worthy pupils to share the secret of their craft. But the question is, do they get a deter force with the Knights of the Postal Service over the swordplay? We may never know. We may never know that. Anyway, the schools are so basically the tests are the most common to first. So it's like they're Jedi schools basically, or I guess the better way to describe it is they're kind of like the temples from Avatar: The Last Airbender, where there's 2 masters, and if you pass the test and like scoring a touch on them, like basically beating them in like a blunted sword combat, basically how they describe it. You get to be you get to learn the school's signature master technique, which is kind of cool. I keep saying actually. So the masters are Kandine and Moon in Yatomon, Loam and Salt at the slopes of Mount Arbora, Tella and Scale is at the gifted I don't even know how to pronounce that, so I'm not going to, at the northern coast.
Sure. Sorry. Which one are you trying to pronounce?
The one that begins with an S and ends with Tashi. Shiro, I think it's Shuru. Shuru.
It's
Shuritashi?
That could be it. I think it's
Shuritashi.
Shuritashi. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah. And Torfin Boulder, which is located on the middle of the waterlogged plain in the backwater wetlands. And then
Blackwater.
yes, so it does like feel like this could be a whole campaign where you could be a potential student learning the moves and skills of the master, and then it even explains that the test, a master AC's. Well, we can basically go into that another time because once we get into the classes itself, because there is a kind of a class that explains this a little bit better. But I do like the concept of it.
If I may, I do like the final test where basically you can go ahead and right away try to get the master technique. Like right away. But the AC starts at 30.
Damn.
And for each week or month, depending on how you play it, the pupil is trained at the school, the master's AC drops by 1, showing that they're learning. And for example, if the pupil has studied at the school for 5 weeks, the master's AC drops from 30 to 25 for the purpose of the duel. And those who fail must wait 3 months, which is either a drop of 3 or 12 AC respectively, based on the amount of weeks, which that's a really great way of showing, hey, you can be a cocky son of a bitch, and hell, you might even get it. But if you don't, you have to learn. You have to put in the effort. And sure, you're going to show for it, but I guarantee that in terms of role play and storytelling, if you failed that first time and you were a cocky son of a bitch, then you're gonna hear about it.
Yep.
And I like that. It's a whole campaign idea and gameplay mechanic rolled into one. And that's actually kind of cool. And I also do like the fact that it feels like as you go along, you are learning and picking up. And maybe even the DM can give you a really overpowered sword ability as you basically complete the training. And then you might go to other schools and learn. Maybe that's the reason for your travels against Obojima. It's a lot of options in a very small, compact... Yes, Deco, I know you're back. But it's a lot of different story elements that you don't normally get for more than one character. But it feels like this would be a great like journey across the land type campaign to master the different sword techniques, and then maybe you fight a big bad guy after you've learned them all. And that would be really nice. I like that. And since Neko's back, we're going to backtrack a little bit to the Society of the Young Stewards, otherwise known as the Druid Scouts.
Yay! Thank you.
Otherwise known as what Neko would play.
Honestly, yeah, because like I do want to try something different, but I like being a druid because like it's my favorite class. It's fun. Plus, like different renditions of it is really fun.
And you're gonna love it. The subclass.
Also, Neko. I don't get me wrong. The joke that I'm about to make, I know you're great. You're a great D&D player. You're very committed to the bit. It's just funny that the person who always chooses the druid gets the stereotype of, yeah, I'd rather play with the pet, but this is the closest thing I can get.
Yeah. Because, like, I like you guys. I do.
But I'd rather play with my pets.
Yeah, it's like right here.
So
like, I get to take a nap with them. They don't judge me.
Okay, you're gonna like the subclass for druid in this book because it's really cool. So let's go over what the youth scouts are. So in terms of the organization, the youth scouts are basically druid scouts.
Youth scouts.
Yeah, they're youth druid scouts because they're an organization dedicated to teaching stewardship of nature and general good citizenship. This seems like something Hydrangea would create by accident, and it would just flourish.
Yep.
When it comes to her craft, she actually knows exactly what she's doing. So if she does do this by accident, she will be so happy and try her best to recreate it.
So the young stewards earn special badges that mark particular achievements or masteries, such as whittling, making campfires, and demonstrating the best way to calm an angry hill dragon.
It's Boy Scouts.
I'm sorry, that's a fucking badge? That's a fucking badge?
Now, Mikey, what are you gonna get today at youth camp, Mikey? I'm gonna tame a dragon and get my dragon tamer badge. Mikey, we talked
see
about
the
this. You lost an
You
arm
just
last
see the
year.
fucking-
But
just
think
see the
about it.
fucking-
In this universe, dragons are different. They're not as
Oh.
angry as D&D dragons. These dragons, like, basically, if something is wrong, someone did something, because they don't generally attack humans in this. Since it's going to take off Studio Ghibli-esque type, it usually is like, okay, something's wrong with this dragon. It's either sick, someone disturbed its sleep, someone decided to come in, or like mess with it. Someone did something to it.
Okay,
Right.
Neko, I loved you, but all I could think was, yes, so someone did something to it, someone came in it.
No, that would be assault.
Exactly. Someone assaulted it.
Okay, there we go. Oh, we had a frame drop there, folks. Now we're back.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we were like, oh,
Yeah,
we were
frames.
bad. We were like in the double digits of KPS. Anyway, I fixed it.
Oh,
Okay, we're back.
frames!
All right, yeah, I might need to.
Okay.
Anyway, so
Even the bit rate decided to leave.
I know, like,
Damn.
that's it. I'm leaving. But it gets better because it's like stewards of all kinds of ways. They help the community and the island, and there have been more than one example of a steward finding an ingenious way to save the harvest, cross a flooded river, or help a lost flock of goats to get back to the safety of their barn. The wilderness is a steward's second home. That means it's not uncommon for stewards to plan camping trips and become implemented by one of the many dangers on the island has to offer. Howlers might descend on the camp, or the stewards might wake to find themselves in the middle of the wandering forest. In such cases, adventurers must often muster to come to their rescue. So, it's the fucking Scouts of America. This is what they are. It's the Scouts
Yeah.
of America, or the Canadian Scouts, or the British Scouts. I don't know if there are Scouts like that in Canada at all.
Yeah,
just
there are. This is exactly like it. Youth Scouts is very much a thing, especially in the smaller towns where like smaller towns and cities where there's a lot of nature surrounding it. I should know. I was part of it. It's not just taken like, oh, you get to do a weekly activity. No, it's taken relatively seriously because it's a chance to show your skills in a way that's both managed in a professional way, but also in a way where achievement is recognized by not just that town, but other towns. It's very
Hmm.
much something old fashioned, but it's something very respected.
And you know, sorry, I got a quick message I had to respond to. Anyway, so not only that, I do also like the chapter names for the Youth Scouts. It's just named after different types of birds. We have the chickadees, the bluebills, the kingfishers, the grebens, the herons, the sparrows, the flinches, the rooks, the robins, and that one I can't pronounce because it's got a K in it, and I'm not even going to bother.
It's called kestrels.
Yeah, kestrels.
What the fuck is a kestrel?
Look it up. Google is free.
I will later, not now. Anyway, But-
Also, I am saying this because I come from the Kinks and Cantrips universe, probably. But if I were to form the young steward, it'd just be like, welcome, young stewards, to Great Tits.
that's a fucking. Oh my god. Anyway,
It is a type of bird.
don't
It is a
remind me. I'm
bird.
well aware of that joke. Anyway,
Welcome to the blue web. Welcome to the blue boobies.
I just love. So yeah, basically. Oh my god. I'm prepared.
Hello there, Obojima. Gaze upon my great tits.
Hello. My name is. Hello. I am the den mother of the great tits. These are my great titties. Oh, where our great titties go out into the world and spread joy to everyone who meets them and puts an eye on them. They're oh so happy and perky.
God damn it!
I'm sorry. I have to play one quick soundboard thing because it fits so well.
What?
It's 6:38 here.
It's 6:38 there.
It's time to lactate at dawn.
What?
I don't know. I didn't hear any of that.
Neither did I.
It's time to lactate at dawn. What the fuck?
What?
I heard
All
that
right.
shit.
Well, Well, that's our cue to move past the Society of the Youth Druids. We're moving on to the next
Mhm.
one.
Okay.
And we're moving on to the last major faction of the world, and that is the witches and covens. Because, as we all know,
Mhm.
there must always be a witch and coven in a Studio Ghibli movie.
Oh,
Always.
it's got a little
There's a
kitty
witch?
on the
Yeah,
tall
witches and
tree.
covens.
So cute.
You have
Yeah,
my-
it's
This
adorable.
one.
You had
I
my
like this one.
attention, but now you have my interest.
Well, yeah, so there
I'll
are...
be right back in just a moment.
Okay, so
Okay.
Cheers said you had to go take care of something. We'll be right back. Anyway, in the meantime, let's
Mhm.
talk about the covens. So, need to diagnose a curse? Are you looking for ingredients to brew a potion? Do you want to learn yourself the magical secrets Obojima keeps hidden with those who don't know where to look? If the answer is yes to any of those questions, you're likely seeking a witch. And witches are a common thing in Obojima. Basically, they're not like the sea hags or the witches from like The Witcher or in traditional media. No, they're basically, how do I put it? They're the nice looking. They're the Glenda the Good witches of Obojima. Some of them are. Some of them are. Not
Gotcha.
all of them, but some of them are. And they're basically like apprentices. They're basically trying to always keep an eye out for apprentices. They're basically just like, hey, you want to learn magic? I can teach you some magic. Come on over here. We'll teach you some magic stuff. You want to learn how to throw fireballs at people? That's totally fine. We can do that. Or you want to summon a raven and have it drop a fireball from the sky on someone? We can teach you that too.
Want to learn polymorph?
Pretty much. And there are a lot of different covens too. So, for example, the one that they give an example of is the Fishhead Coven, and they basically are the ones that rule the Gale Fields, which is like where the majority of the land is. That's like the Calm Belt. And they're really obsessed with, I think, according to this, they're basically like really into discovering the trade of magical ingredients. Basically, they're potion salesmen. And potions play a big part in Obojima. There's a whole like gameplay mechanic about brewing your own potions, to the fact that they have like 150 different ingredients and they tell you exactly what you can make with them. So foraging for stuff is very good. And if you're looking for a rare ingredient, a DM could have like a member of the Fishhead Coven come around and sell you stuff, maybe more commonly than not. Now, they are the ones that have the most influence, but there are some smaller covens too. Some examples include the Cloudcap Coven at the base of the mountain, the Patchwork Robe Coven in the Land of Hot Water, the Tall Hats, who I guess are British. I really don't know. I'm guessing. But anyway, those people as well. Then you have the Crown Sworn in the Backwater Wetlands. And then the Legend of the Gilded Gourd in the Coastal Highlands. For those of you who don't know, they're the ones who worship the magic pumpkin.
Hey, Garson, that's your area.
I'm going to kill you.
My
But-
bad.
But my point is
Who's
that
killing who?
I'm killing Mantis. He brought up the pumpkin. Anyway, but like why this is important is that I like the fact that the witches, they don't feel like a threat. They are like a business first and foremost, but they're also like a school or traveling merchants, and maybe they're like Kiki from Kiki's Delivery Service,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and that's a good
Oh,
thing.
that's another thing that I saw clips of is Kiki's Delivery Service.
That's another Studio Ghibli movie, so that's good to know.
Or
But
Howl's Moving Castle.
that too,
Yeah,
actually.
I've seen that.
Oh, Hal's in this book, by the way. There's actually Hal
He is?
Oh yeah, I'll show you in a minute. Let me pull them up real quick, because while we talk about this. So like the point is that, and then the point is that this world is like meant to use common tropes, but not in like a bad way. They play up to it by basically doing what Studio Ghibli does. Studio Ghibli, at the heart of it, it takes common tropes, but it then turns it into more of a whimsical aspect of it, and then adds its own like flavor to it. And we've seen that a lot in a lot of the movies. So to have that be the case for like witch covens, instead of being like a threat, they're just like, oh, hey, you want to buy some shit? I'm selling it over here. I'll trade you for like 2 gold copper. Okay, yeah. So here it is. So like if you're looking, so if you want to see what Howl looks like on page 50. There's a guy who's called Shisove. I'll just go ahead and pull up the artwork real quick. Yeah, that's Howl. That's Howl. He's even got the cloak. But he's also like the member of the tea house, and he runs the tea house.
You said page 50. I don't see
Oh,
him.
try 54. It's 54 in like the PDF version, but it's like 50 on the actual book itself.
Yeah, that's him. He changed his hair.
Well,
Or that could be their son.
could be. He's actually an Oni. He's a demon.
Huh.
And the book even does say that you can play him in one of two ways, and we're going to get into this a little bit more, but I just want to set the stage for this. He can either be played as a dashing scamp or a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. So you have two ways to play him where like maybe he's sweet, but then at nighttime he becomes more sinister. Or you can play him as like a dashing rogue type character. Either way,
Ooh.
and it's that type of stuff that I really like about it, because if you scroll back up, and this is going to play into like the covens and everything in the world, there's a lot of really good like locations that not only gives you like the NPCs and what the world and what it feels like to be in there, but like for example, it gives you stuff like tone, vibe, how the world is supposed to go. Like, I'll just showcase a few of them that I like, and if anyone has ones they want to point out, that they can too. But the first one that I really thought was like amazing was the one I believe is called, I'm trying to find it, Sky Kite Village. Like, so that's on page 62. Sky Kite Village looks like old Japan, based on how like it's built. Or like for those of you who don't know, if you watch Shogun, this is kind of what I'm referring to, is like the big imperial walls, but it also has a coastline, and it builds up because it's actually built on the coast. So like they even have those little like San Francisco like steep roads, and it's built in tiers. I kind of like that because it feels bigger than it should, but it really looks really nice. And one of the main things that you can do around here, and they even describe it in the book, is that it's a village of aeronauts. They specialize in flying. It's like big into aeronautics, and you have like hot air balloons and gliders, and
Jellyfish?
their jellyfish is a recurring theme throughout the book. They really like jellyfish around here for some reason.
Huh.
But it's beautiful to think about. And then you just look at this, and then the tone is like adventurous spirit, innovation all around, and industrious. And I feel that when I look at this artwork. This is an industrious area that looks so amazing, and I would love to live here. And it feels like this probably is like the New York, or maybe even like the San Francisco area of Obojima. But you have these big valley villages here, and then if you look closer, you can even see stuff like smaller things like the Gray Steppes, which is like a frozen land, but it feels like Hokkaido. Or I'm trying to find the one or like stuff like Toggle, which is like a steelworking place. And like here, I'll even show you what Toggle looks like, because it's really like it's such difference. This feels like this honestly feels like that village from Spirited Away, where they were like focusing on building all that iron and stuff. Like it was building civilization and creating on nature. And even like the NPCs look like that, because look, you have these two you have, just as an example, they have these two characters who are like specializing in building new metal projects.
Yeah, it's fascinating, just this whole world. It genuinely feels alive.
That's true. It does feel alive. And so this next part of the episode I just want to focus on, we're just going to be talking about some of the settings real quick, because there's a lot to talk about. There's so many really good settings. I just wanted to briefly touch on a few of them. For example, one of the ones that I find was really interesting was the Goody Mart, which is the long lost convenience store buried in the wetlands. So anyway, the Goody Mart is basically an ancient relic of the First Age, and it's a place where the hungry and thirsty travelers who have stopped for respite. Now it stands eerily empty, a bleached skeleton from another time with a single vending machine as its silent companion. It's the last known 7-Eleven, guys. This is the last place where you can get a Slurpee.
No.
Actually,
No.
can I had a really stupid thought when I saw this, and I thought this would be a really funny campaign. It's a group. It would be like, oh my god, hang on a second.
Oh,
Sorry.
Oh.
Yeah. Sorry. Dog being yippy. Anyway, back to what I was saying. So I thought of this as like, I'm just rambling at this point. I'm trying to stay focused,
Good.
and I'm not actively being able to stay focused on it because like, it's just. So with Kinks and Cantrips, when we were talking about it, we kind of had like a structure. The problem with Obojima is that you really can't have a structure, in my opinion, to talk about this book, because the majority of the benefit that comes from this book and what is produced is the setting and the atmosphere that you are going to get from a play setting, from a campaign set in this world. It's not a rigid like universe, like for example, like the Forgotten Realms or Kinks and Cantrips, or even the 5th edition books where it has like, this is like what this is and this is a setting. No,
Mhm.
Obojima is a unique book in the fact that it is a book that it can have so many different settings, but because the island is so secluded, it's meant to be one unique setting in and of itself. So what you have instead of a setting, you have a tone for the campaign. And you can't really describe tones because each one is going to be different from DM to DM. I like that because I could jump, because as you know, we have been talking primarily about the tones and the factions, and they give you like 30 different locations to build campaigns around. And they give you reputation, and they give you like what the major factions are. But let's be fair here. I'm looking at a 7-Eleven. This is an ancient abandoned 7-Eleven and parking lot that is located in the middle of the woods. I don't know what I could do with this, but I do know somebody could do something with this. And I don't want to take that away from any potential DMs who want to buy the book and discuss what and have their own story on it. It's such a beautiful idea. And I think that's the book's biggest strength, is that it allows simpler adventures, but it doesn't feel like you've lost anything. There's simple adventures that allow anyone to basically create a very either short campaign or a very long campaign on the flimsiest of premises. Like for example,
Garson.
yeah.
I hate to have another Dilemmaturge wizard incident, but you might want to read one page down, because it gives you exactly what they would find in the goodie mart. Still, if adventurers begin to poke and prod about, they will find a unique passage hidden within the relic. Behind the foggy glass of the refrigerator doors are steps that descend in a series of switchbacks down a tile-covered tunnel to a ruined subway station.
Every time I need to start reading more than 2 sentences away before I go on a rambling neurotic venture.
And the ruined subway, just so that we because like, oh, a subway, we might not be able to do much with that. The very first sentence: the ruined subway system is a bizarre wonderland ruled by an elder spirit called Gomorrah, a massive worm-like monster with a humanoid face.
Oh God. Oh.
Oh boy. It's fucking Jeff from Men in Black.
Pretty much, yeah.
I mean, it is.
Oh,
Yeah.
So the goodie mart is like, yeah, I can't really do anything with that. Reads down a little bit further. I can do everything with that.
But I like that. But see, that's what I love about it. Is like, think of it like this. You're like, just as an example, you're a member of the AHA. Oh my god, I still can't say that without cracking up. You're a member of the AHA, and you have like and you're getting escorted by Knights of the Postal Service. You've been tasked by your guild to venture to the Goodie Mart to recover long forgotten relics, i.e., the Slurpee machine that's in the Goodie Mart. While you're there, you discover the portal to go to the underground, and while you're there, you've basically run into Gamora. Think of that as a story aspect, and all you were really doing was trying to steal the last Slurpee machine in existence to preserve it. But you get what I'm saying. At least I think you get what I'm saying, hopefully, is that these
Yeah.
settings are very vague at first. Clearly, reading 2 pages ahead will probably fix that problem immediately. But, like, let's just look at another location real quick. Hakuma's Ramen Shop. Okay? So, this is a ramen shop run by Hakuma, the ramen chef, which we can kind of see over here. He's like an oni. He's the blue guy in the corner. He makes a great ramen. I think it's fantastic. I love ramen. I love it to death.
I love ramen too.
Yeah,
it is
everyone loves ramen.
delicious.
Yeah.
And he just runs the shop. But, like, here's even some adventure hooks that they give. The ultimate ramen. If adventurers frequent Hakuma's often enough, they will eventually hear tales about the ultimate ingredient. The rare mushroom known as the Hand of Arrow. It's a rare that Hakuma will talk more of in a few words, but describing the... So basically, go make the ultimate bowl of ramen, and then maybe you go to the Goodie Mart to find the mushroom, and down there you go down to the subway. I'm sorry, I'm going right back to the Goodie Mart because I can't get over the fact that there's a fucking secret tunnel in the back behind where the beer was, and down below there's Memento for Persona 5, ruled by the spirit worm that we don't see, but we know he's there because there's his 2 eyes staring dead at me. Like, you fucked up, Garson. You should have read a little bit more.
I mean,
Also,
hey,
I want to
you're...
point out.
you
I
said it, not
want to
me.
point out
Mhm.
in that artwork with the Oni dude. I love that
Alright, I'm
there's
back.
like a little sit sprite creature holding up what to me looks like a leek
No, that's a
or like a
spoon.
spring onion.
No, that's a spoon.
That's a spoon.
Yeah, that's a ramen
Does
spoon.
not look like a spoon.
That's a ramen spoon.
Huh.
Also, I don't know.
No, like in the top art for.
Oh,
the
that.
shop.
No, that's a. Oh,
Yeah.
no, that part. Yeah, no, that's a leak. I thought you were talking about
I-
the one down here called a scrubbling.
Oh no,
Scribbling.
no,
Scrubbling?
Yeah, it's an. I think it's a Brillo pad that became a soot creature from Spirited Away.
Scrubblings.
Yeah.
Scrubblings are a group of small helper spirits that make sure Hakuman's ramen shop is kept clean and sparkling. They mostly look like little scrubbing pads with legs that run about and gobble up any scrapped food, gather up the dishes and jump them into the sudsy water for good scrubbing. Larger scrubblings use their shaggy bodies to sweep in and around the shop like spinning tops. While the scrubblings can understand basic commands, they speak in squeaks, trills, and with the occasional sigh or groan. Aww. I want one of these as a
Mhm.
pet, damn it.
Okay, but this plays into what I'm saying. This is a vibey book. This isn't a straight campaign setting, nor is it a straight like universe. There's a lot in this book that builds on the island of Obojima. It feels like you could have so many small campaigns just based on the just on the locations that they include. There's 30 of these in here, with each their different same vibe, tone, even some adventuring hooks, and even points of interest. This is like a dungeon master's wet dream because I said this before, and Chitter knows what I'm talking about, and I think this is the best way to describe it. A long time ago, I coined the term the dungeon master's paintbrush. I used it to describe.
Yes.
What was that, Neko?
Oh no, I said yeah, and
Oh.
I was saying, ooh, I was looking at the ramen. I was like, I am hungry right now.
Me too. I
So am
know.
I.
We're
Me
gonna
too.
we're gonna scroll on down from the ramen shop because I think we're just gonna make ourselves hungry. We're gonna go to the next one, which is Rokala, which is
Killer's
really
making
nice.
curry right
I'm-
now.
Ooh.
I'm currently eating food, so don't mind me.
Okay, so I'm gonna
need
so
to get
back
me
on
something to
topic.
eat.
I'm gonna talk about it. So I coined the term the
Mhm.
Dungeon Master's paintbrush. What that is that it's a term used to allow the dungeon master to paint a very unique picture based on having very not limited but very small input from a character. A good example of this would be a monster I described like the Headless Horror, which which had the ability to be like immune to 3 different types of magic or 3 different spells, but you didn't have to tell the party. And then if you had like 4 of them, then each one was immune to 3 different types of magic, you created a really nice campaign. And because they're living armor sets, you could have them be designed to inhabit like samurai armor or old timey knight armor, or even stuff like or even like armor from like Vikings and stuff like that. And this book feels like the equivalent of a massive amount of Dungeon Master's paintbrush options that has been congealed into one massive book setting. Because what Obojima's strength is in its setting is we are giving you the paint. We are telling you to go paint a picture, but we're not telling you exactly like how to do it. We're not even really describing like everything that could happen. This is like a small sample of what you can do with these locations, with these characters, with these items, with these classes, but we are letting the player and the DM have so much freedom that they are not going to have, that they'll come back to this book time and time again because we are allowing that amount of freedom. And stuff like the Goody Mart, and I keep going back to that because goddamn, that is a great twist from finding the room. Because if you don't get the perception check and you don't discover the underground tunnel, you could then come back to it another time and maybe you discover it then. Maybe the door was open. Maybe someone's in the subway system and you didn't know about that. But that's what I'm saying. Like Hakuma's ramen shop at the end of the day is a ramen shop, but Hakuma's a character. The Scrubblings are characters. There's even like some NPCs in here like Mr. Noka Noka, who they describe as a ramen thief. You can make a story about that. He could steal Hakuma's ultimate ramen and you've got to make him another one. And these are, and hell, they even like say sometimes when you consume the adventure hook, he'll give you a permanent increase to Constitution by 1. Or as we scroll down, I'm gonna just get to the next page. Or as we scroll down, like you have the one like okay, Opal Falls. Like this is a prime example of this. Look at the artwork on this. This is on page 102, by the way. Yeah, it's like page 102. It's a fishing village that's built into a waterfall. And they build ships into it, and the whole village is built into this waterfall, or in some cases on the coast of it too. But like the majority of it is there. That's amazing. I love that. This is such a cool concept. Like this is stuff you like in any other book. They would not build this because they would have like traditional cities or traditional villages or traditional like institutions. Ravnica is a good example of that, like as Chitter mentioned earlier in the episode. Yes, there is a aspect to it, but as we are looking at this, the more you look at it, Obojima is taking these concepts and going, well, why can't we have a village built into a waterfall? Or why can't we have a demonic subway built into the back of an abandoned 7-Eleven? Sorry,
You're gonna keep going back. You're gonna keep going back to that, aren't you?
I am.
Probably.
I am, but like
Yes.
here, sorry, I'm not trying to take up too much of the conversation. I'm
You're the host.
basically like explaining all this because when you look at animation, specifically Studio Ghibli, and I've always said this, and I think this is a good example. Studio Ghibli movies make you feel like you can walk into that movie and take a part of it. It's a real aspect and a world that maybe you don't get to see. Like, maybe at one point there was a moving castle, or maybe at one point there was, like, a spirit world. Like, Haku used to be, like, a water dragon from a river, but that got dammed up and he forgot his name. That seems like, and it's a beautiful world built on very little story, but very, very breathtaking visual and very breathtaking spectacle, and it tells its story in a unique way. Those are the 3 aspects of building a great animated movie, and Obojima's doing that in book form for DMs. I can't really describe it any other way, and I'm trying to like just not gush and explain like the history of animation and all that, and keep it, but I want to keep us on topic. And it's just like,
If I may, there's actually something that each place has. Scroll down just a tiny bit. Again, this is not to like laugh or make fun of. This is genuinely useful.
Mhm.
Look in the top left corner of that page. That tells you what factions are involved in each area. They include it in every part.
Oh, you're right. They do. And then it's like you have you see what Coven of Witches are around. They even have the postal the Postal Brigade, and then it says that the young stewards often travel to Opal Falls to learn about it, and then it even shows the Opals. It even shows the young steward troop 503, which the Wilderness Druids. So
But here's the point that I want to get at.
Mhm.
So often, you introduce a new area, and you have a character or two that is just sitting there, doing nothing, just reacting. This way, you can minimize that. If you have a group of a couple witches, a postal knight, and a young steward, you go to this place and you go, there's something for all of you right off the bat. You can get invested in this area. You're not going to take someone who is from the AHA, because even though there might be stuff there, it's not as engaging as something as another place could be. You're not going to take it. You're not going to take like a swords like like the sword play people. You're not going to take a party of that to here unless there's a specific story reason, because there's not really a point to this place aside from a quest. This way, you're not going to an area just because look at all this cool stuff that doesn't involve you in the slightest. I'm sure we've all had a campaign where our character has just sat there and been like, I can do nothing here. And that helps avoid it.
it's true. And
That
not
is
only
true.
and not only does it help avoid it, and I want to get everyone's opinion on that, because I think it's because I do want to see what everyone feels about that type of thing when it comes to the the world itself. But like I said, each no two locations feel similar, and they each have their own factions. They have their own story. They even do include some adventure hooks for maybe someone who, for example, here let's going back to the one for Opal Falls. They have stuff like Flight of the Falls. A boat is being hauled on the top of the falls, and there might be a fight happening. Again, it's simple stuff, obviously, but maybe it can lead into the next part. Maybe, hell, they even have stuff like the Broken Bird Airfield, where sky whales fly off into the corner, and then they have old airplanes lying around. What if an adventure would be you learn how to build one of these? Because they're still here. They look like they're mostly intact, and they even have little wood spirits around them. But before I go any further, because I've been talking way too much about this myself, and it's not fair that I'm taking that from you guys. I want to hear what you have to think about the setting, and the world of the world of this this land, if you could. Does anyone have anything they want to add to the setting in the world?
It's very
I
homey.
think it's-
I'll say that.
I've always I used to watch a lot of TV shows as a kid, and especially a pre-apocalyptic TV shows. Because I've seen a lot of zombie apocalypse, a lot of disease happens out. I can't remember what it was. There was a TV show that involved Jason Momoa and David Bautista. All humans go blind. Well, the entire world is there's happened. Let me fucking. So a disease goes out, kills all non-blind people, and so the blind people are resorted back to their primitive states. And so, but then someone who isn't blind ends up making more blind kids, or making more unblind kids. And I've also seen another one called Sweet Tooth, where a disease goes out and part human, part animal children are born. And again, people are reverted back to more primitive states, and they're pieces of technology that are.
Mantis, does this have anything to do with the book, or?
Well, no, it's kind of I like that kind of stuff. I like kind of pre-apocalyptic
You mean
thing.
post-apocalyptic thing?
My bad. My bad. Vocabulary.
Pre-apocalyptic is peaceful times. Nothing bad happened yet.
That's before the fucking fall happened.
Post-apocalyptic time. That's what I meant. I kind of like that. I can really get behind that, of where you're going through something happened to the human race, and you're going through and you're seeing what they had, but it's kind of useless to you, but it's like a treasure. It's like a treasure that you haven't seen before. Ooh, what is this Xbox? You pick up an Xbox controller. What is this thing? Like, what is this nuclear device? What
The
what weapon
ancient
of Matt?
PS5.
What piece of weaponry did they use this for?
You know, and that's actually a good point. Like the way Mance is describing it, that does play into some of the stuff from Obojima. And not only that, I can honestly say this: I think there's a lot of story elements that could be done with that because like.
Yeah.
It's not like the world's completely ruined. There's still food, there's still power, there's still magic. It's like the only difference is that the first age happened, and we have no idea what happened in this book. But like, there's still technology around. It's not like they're completely It's not like Fallout where they're pretty much one bullet away from dying. But
Yeah.
I will say though, there is something that caught me off guard. And it is a different area. And I'm just going through it, seeing if I can find the area in particular. Give me one moment. I'm just looking it up real quick.
okay, Neko, did you have
Well,
anything you wanted to add?
Yeah.
Did-
I like the fact that this is just a very comfy game where you can just have like, especially for a lot of people who don't really like the gory stories or going an evil path.
You know, that's a good
It-
point
it's-
actually. Oh, go ahead.
No. It's just like I really do enjoy that stuff. This is something that is different. It can put a lot of companies in like competition, which is good.
And not yeah, you're right. And not only that, like it doesn't feel like there's like I don't think if you were playing with an Obojima campaign, you would be trying to save the world. You would be like you would be doing a smaller adventure, but it would
A side quest.
not even a side quest. Like it could be a main quest that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to begin with, but it could be about the journey more. Obojima's setting basically is more like we're basically traveling and we're exploring this world together and the journey is the campaign, not the main quest. The quest is like the initiating factor, and that could be said for a lot of Hayao Miyazaki movies where it's not the end goal that you really want to have in the movie. It's
the friends we made along the way.
yes, but not that
Sure
cliche.
Okay.
Okay.
I do want to say this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually fascinating that we brought up the 7-Eleven. And it's actually because it actually leads to something that's very interesting.
What's that?
And it's just simply where it is. And I know that again, we're all talking about this place like it's absolutely amazing, it's peaceful and everything. And then you look at the Brackwater wetlands. On the eastern reaches of Obojima lie the mist-shrouded Brackwater wetlands. Ruined settlements lie sinking in the murky waters. The weathered wooden stilts snapped by the recent tsunami which flooded the area and left behind a salty brine that soaks the gnarled trunks of broken trees. Since the seismic upheaval and the tsunami's wrath, a sinister new addition known as the Corruption has tainted this landscape. It has spread its tendrils across the wetlands, twisting and warping everything it touches, birthing living manifestations, corrupted muck amongst the flora and fauna, and ensnaring unwavering travelers in its suffocating embrace.
Ooh.
And fish
Very intriguing.
and fish skeletons apparently fly.
Yeah.
But
Fish skeletons.
here's what's interesting is that creatures that come into contact with the corruption for more than a few minutes can develop a harrowing illness, otherwise known as being corrupted. Though it's unclear how the corruption affects different creatures, most suffer from a variety of symptoms. At best, it seems humanoids can develop life-altering side effects, while in the worst case, they die within a few days. Bestial creatures have been seen fully skeletonized, stripped of any personality or higher intelligence, leaving them with basic instincts, while spirits seem to undergo a form of madness, which inevitably leads to a demonic transformation. Gee, I'm getting some vibes from this.
That is true.
I'm getting
And-
Lost Wood vibes.
Yeah.
But
Like,
what makes it
Lost
what makes it so fascinating is that if you scroll down again, you reach Polewater Village. The boats from Polewater haven't been seen since the tsunami. They sold the catch, but they're no longer talked. What is known is that communication between Polewater and the rest of the island has ceased. The courier brigade's roads were washed away with the tsunami, and cross-country travel has proven too dangerous, and the sea routes have become impassable. Now, that is so sad. But what makes it so fascinating, and again, this is what is sending off the apocalypse vibes for me, is that this brigade that's using first age technology can't get through this. They can't make a way. They can't make a path. It actually says they can't make a path. And that, and even months later, they're still trying to piece together something. They're trying to help rebuild. They're trying to do anything. But it seems that maybe this is just how it's meant to be. Or maybe there is no hope. Because the tone is even needing hope. And the fact that this world, this place of pure like excitement, has a place off of it that's being corrupted, has a place that they can't get help, they can't see people, they can't do anything, even with the technology they have. To me, that screams something is going on. And when you dig down really deep into the book, like towards like the last few pages when it actually talks about like what it is, the corruption is a toxic substance from another world. It bubbled up from the ocean floor, growing to the point of being large enough to bring the island of Obojima to a complete halt, unable to move further unless it is reduced in size or removed entirely.
So island cancer?
The corruption has no more consciousness than a slime mold or a fungus that blindly seeks its food in a freakishly efficient manner and has as much of an agenda as a tornado or a lava flow. And here's the thing. Ultimately, how you use the corruption in your story is up to you. And this is where I get the shit's going to happen. In anticipation of the expansions of Obojima and its story, we have 2 suggestions that deal with the corruption, how to best end your story to properly set up for the next book. The corruption needs to be severed from the island, and a portion of it must remain dormant within the Brackwater wetlands. The corruption can't be caused by a person or a creature. It is a natural force that has existed in the ocean for some time. That is fascinating. This is why my alarms were going off so much. Because within this book even, it is saying that there's going to be at least one other book, most likely 2. Because, rule of 3 and whatnot.
Yeah.
You cannot sit on your ass for 3 books.
No, you cannot.
No.
You cannot have a perfect world where you sit on your ass and diddle for 3 books. So something is going to happen. And the fact that they're telling you to not kill the corruption, the fact that they're suggesting, hey, this cannot be fully gotten rid of. It cannot be caused by a person or creature. It is a force, and it's going to remain dormant. That screams to me that, yes, this book is going to be absolutely adorable at the early going. That's just it. The early going. When you get into the deeper, when you get into the deeper stuff, this book is going to crush you. This world is going to come crashing down. That is my hypothesis. And again, it all comes down to the fact that you can't sit on your ass for 3 books or even 2 books. You've made the world. You need to do something with it.
I gotta admit, there's so much more we're gonna talk about when it comes to like the settings and everything as we dive into it. But I will say this: there's a good chance of it that is the case, and if that is the case, then the theme of the first book is setting it up and expanding on the world. And if there's most likely going to be another book coming out down the road. When that book comes out, it's probably going to build up on everything we talked about for the themes, and then establish more of what could happen down the road. I am excited for that. And we will talk more about the locations a little bit down the road, but there are so many. But I do want to include one thing. I want to show everyone this real quick before we get into the next topic we want to talk about real quick, and that's the wandering line. Okay, so go to page
The line that wanders.
So head to page 117. So head to page 117.
It's time to take the train over to the spirit realm. Where the fuck we going? I don't fucking know.
Exactly. But this is the Spirited Away train, basically. You can even see No Face if you look at the reflection underneath. But this is what it symbolizes. Like, this woman in the physical world, she is on riding the train normally, but if you look in the water and the reflection, they're the spirits. So water acts as a way to look into the spirit world, according to how this art is depicting. So that can mean stuff like rivers and ponds could have a much deeper meaning. And I like this because it's first age technology that's still being used and maintained and it feels like there's a lot more to what it can do than, say, the Goody Mart, where that underground subway tunnel in Gorgia is there.
It's almost like it connects to it, Carson.
Exactly.